Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us today for this presentation. We've got a great one for you today. We're talking about distance marketing and digital tools and tactics that you can use during these times where we can't really have those face-to-face conversations with our customers. We really want to give you some tools that you can use for your business to reach out to customers in a digital world and make your point and sell your business. So before we dive into the meat of the presentation and who's presenting today, I want to talk about a few housekeeping items. First of all, number one, this webinar is being recorded and will be available after for any viewing purposes. It'll be hosted on the training website, Hunter University, as well as our YouTube site. So check it out. Now, I will be monitoring questions as they come in the GoToWebinar platform. So if you have one, go ahead and go to your GoToWebinar control panel, go to the questions tab, and just type in whatever questions or comments you have for us throughout the presentation, and we'll address them at the end during our Q&A session. If it's something I can help you with during the presentation, I'll address it to you in the comment box. Now, if you haven't already done so, check out revitup.hunterindustries.com. This is our new campaign this year that we're running called Rev It Up. And this is an opportunity where you can earn coins for answering questions in weekly campaigns that you can earn these coins to redeem for Hunter apparel, Hunter swag, and even risk them in monthly drawings for big prizes that are pretty cool. You can see those prizes that are available to risk your coins at revitup.hunterindustries.com. So check it out. Now, if you don't already know about it, which I hope you do, visit training.hunterindustries.com. That's our Hunter University page where we have an entire library of additional trainings as well as CEU opportunities. So if you're looking for CEUs, come check it out, training.hunterindustries.com. Lastly, I want to talk about our YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos and a lot of content there to help you answer some of the questions that you might have had out in the field, as well as some other training videos and how-tos, if you will. So check that out, Hunter Industries YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button and also hit the little bell in the upper right-hand corner. That will actually send you notifications anytime something new is posted to the website. So if you need more training or you want those CEU opportunities, check out those options. Now, I want to go ahead and introduce our presenters for today. First of all, I've been talking for a minute. I'd like to introduce who I am. I'm Greg Rosing, Product Training Specialist at Hunter. I've been with Hunter for almost 3 years now, and I have about 15 years of experience in the industry. But I think this next guy is going to trump that. Jason Gibson's got 25 years of industry experience. He's a sales representative and has been for 5 years here at Hunter Industries, and he is a wealth of knowledge. Another presenter that we have, Steve Lindner, 30 years of experience, trumping Jason a little bit, also 5.5 years with Hunter Industries. So that's another trump. Sorry, Jason. And our main presenter for the day, we have Tessa Norton, 20 years of marketing experience outside of our industry and within our industry, and 4 years here at Hunter. So another wealth of knowledge. We hope that this is jam-packed with information that you can use in your business right after the presentation. Tessa, you want to take us away?
Let's do it. All right, thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. We thought that now with all of the crazy social distancing regulations around the nation, that it would be a really great time to kind of go over all of our digital tools and tactics from a marketing standpoint. I think we see a lot of contractors out nationwide who maybe aren't doing some of the marketing tactics because they aren't as confident in them, and it's not because they can't. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there, and there's obviously a lot of ways to spend a lot of money in marketing, and I'm sure you've got people knocking at your door all the time with new great ways to drag in hundreds of thousands of dollars in business, but we wanted to focus on some of the core digital tools to help you market. So we're going to be going over your digital profile, your company's digital profile, social media marketing. We'll be talking about a customer database for a little bit, email marketing, as well as website engagement. And before we go into each of those, though, I really wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the marketing trifecta. So when we talk about marketing, we really put it into 3 different buckets, all of the different tactics and channels that we have. On the left-hand side, we've got paid media, and that's, everything from print, online ads, TV. We have some customers doing billboards, and that's really some where you've paid to have your voice in a space. Earned media is media where you've earned it either by just, it could be as simple as word of mouth and you've done a good job and your customer wants to tell their friends and family and neighbors, or it could be some public relations where you've put together articles or you've put yourself out there to talk with reporters as a subject matter expert in the field of landscaping or irrigation. And then there's owned media, and that's really where you 100% own the message that you are trying to put out there. And that's your website, that's materials, emails, social media, where you are really the one who is crafting the message and putting it out there in your space. So we're going to be focusing primarily on owned media and a little bit on earned media, because really those are the lower cost options and they also are incredibly impactful. And I think that you really need to have those tuned up before you start going into your paid media. So your digital marketing profile. I really wanted to start with review sites, and that's because I see a lot of contractors in our industry who just hate them, right? Because they've had one person get online, was really annoyed at something that happened, and it's always those rotten eggs, right? And so people get really frustrated with things like Yelp and Google reviews. And what I want to say to everyone is that you should really take the time to embrace it, because it's a phenomenal tool. And I think that if you're really smart about embracing some of these review sites, that you can really help drive your business. And there's a few quick tips that I have on that. So one is just making sure that your profiles are up to date. And we'll go into that a little bit in the next few slides. But the other piece is embracing reviews. And that's hard to do sometimes, and especially when it feels like it's a personal attack. But I think if you take the time to really make sure that you're reaching out to some customers that you know had great experiences, potentially they're long-term customers if you are on the maintenance side of the house that you can reach out to. But it's really, I would say that if you want to drive positive reviews on your site, I would take the time to get together a list of your customers that you have a great relationship with or you know had a great experience, and email them and simply ask them to go on and write a review for you. And then moving forward, make sure that you put together an email, make it really simple for them, have all the links to the different review sites. Some people like to do reviews on Google versus Yelp versus they use Nextdoor, Angie's List, all of the above. So taking that time to list out all the places where you want to drive traffic to and reviews to, and making sure that you're doing that regularly and that's part of your process is a really positive way to impact how people see you. So let's get to the profile part of this. So here's an example of a great profile on yelp.com, advanced sprinkler and drainage repair. You can see on that top left that they said that they've claimed it. That means that Yelp will automatically put up businesses, and that doesn't mean that the business actually owns that page and has put the information about themselves up there. So make sure that you are claiming your business pages. And it's very simple to do. If you go onto your page, there's usually a button that says claim this page. But they've done a really good job showing what services they offer. So they're not just saying landscape, they're also very specifically saying, hey, we do irrigation, we do lighting as well. They've got their website here. They've obviously turned on the request a quote so they can get quotes directly from Yelp. And they even have a deal posted on here, right? One thing I really wanted to point out is that they've got 15 photos on here. That's something that when you're taking ownership of your sites, you really want to make sure that you put some great photos of the work that you've done. I love that they've got a photo of their team here up on their site. There's been a number of studies and statistics show time and time again that the more photos that you have, the more people convert and the more people will buy. I think Amazon has some wild numbers around a product that has 1 photo versus 3 photos versus 6 photos, and then even video on there. And it really shows high conversion. So take the time to take some photos that you're really proud of and make sure that you're taking those photos as well. So Yelp, I think, is you know, tried and true for better or for worse, love, hate. We all know about Yelp. We all know about our profiles. Hopefully you've claimed yours. Another piece that I want to bring up that's not as popular but gaining popularity is Google Business. And so here's an example. I looked up that same advanced sprinkler and drainage repair. When I Googled it, you can see on the right-hand side that box pops up. So it's not just your standard search view from Google. It also has some business information, and that's because they've claimed this business through Google Business, and they've put in that same information. They've put in their website, they've put in their phone number, they've put in their hours, right? And they've got photos. You can see that same photo of their team, and it shows the region that they work within. So another, and we have a saying, Google loves Google. So if you spend the time to update your Google business profile, Google's going to go out of their way to make sure that you are ranked really highly in searches. Another space that's not specifically a review site per se, but we've seen a lot of neighborhood apps and neighborhood websites and neighborhood social media pages pop up. And so really just making sure that you are aware of the different neighborhood apps, neighborhood pages that are being used in the communities where you do business. This is the Nextdoor. This is from Nextdoor is one of the very widely popular ones nationwide. I've pulled up a screenshot from my own neighborhood, and you can see that when I looked for landscaper very briefly, there's a couple sponsored results. So there's an example of some paid media opportunities there, but also just the business's standpoint. So again, kind of owning your business profile and taking the time. It's some effort on the front end, but it's gonna pay dividends long term. So you've got your businesses there, and then you've got posts, right? And that's people in the community going back and forth, asking each other questions. And I see a lot, and I mean a lot, of people saying, hey, this is an example of, hey, our kitchen sink is leaking. Does anyone know a good plumber, right? This guy here, Alex, he was saying, hey, I'm a landscaper. If anybody needs landscaping, feel free to reach out to me. So that takes time and effort, right? And I realize that a lot of you don't have time to spend. So I'm not saying specifically that you need to be going on there and posting regularly, although that is a way to drum up business. But when you create that email with links to saying, hey, if you wouldn't mind taking time to put a review on Yelp, put a review on Google Business, link to your businesses. You could also link to whichever neighborhood profile you see have a lot of engagement in your community. So those, I hope that after hearing this, you're like, yeah, you know what, I do really need to go and make sure that my hours are up to date, or that I've taken ownership of my site. So that's, again, really low hanging fruit, a little bit of effort on the front end that we definitely see as helpful long term. So, all right, moving on to social media. There is a lot of options out there, and a lot of you and we, even in marketing for Hunter, we don't have the time to be on all of them. And so I just wanted to take a couple of slides to talk to you about, well, what is the most appropriate social media platform for you to be on if you want to go on to social. And one, it was just, where is your audience? And so there's a couple ways to look at this. One is just the sheer volume, right? So Facebook obviously being the behemoth in the social media world, and you've got some up and comers, right? WhatsApp and WeChat, those are really international, more text messaging based. Instagram, who would have thought 5 years ago that Instagram would be kind of number 2 on this list from a social media platform standpoint? We see different groups on Twitter versus Instagram versus Facebook. I would say that on Instagram we see a lot of lighting designers, it's very visually driven, whereas on Twitter we see a lot of specifier designers, we see a lot of golf superintendents, and then on Facebook we see kind of your classic customer base. We see a lot of from Hunter standpoint, our contractors, our distributor customers, but then also homeowners as well. And another way to look at what platforms you think are appropriate for you, or whether social media is appropriate for you, is looking by generation. If you do residential and you're targeting those new homeowners, you might be looking at millennials and even some Gen Xers. But if you do kind of large end residential or commercial, you might be looking at more of the baby boomers and the end of the Gen Xers. So kind of trying to understand again where your audience is, to make sure that you are choosing the appropriate platform, or choosing to go on social media at all. This is an old slide. I can't find updated data, but I've always really liked how this was broken down. It's an effectiveness rating for B2B versus B2C. And so some of you out there, you're doing commercial work, and B2B, you're probably more on LinkedIn than you are on Facebook or Twitter. And whereas on the B2C, more the residential side of our business, you're looking at effectiveness on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. So I always just kind of like to think about that. We know that some of you are B2B and some of you are B2C. And so taking a moment to kind of separate those out to really understand what platforms make the most sense. So there's a lot of, we see a lot of really cool team profiles, and we wanted to invite Jason Gibson from our own team onto this panel because we really think that what his team has done in social media has been really, really great, and has garnered great results. And Jason, would you mind just telling us about what your team has put together and accomplished?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Tessa. Glad we were chosen to be on this. A couple of years ago, we were looking for a way to engage with our customers in sort of a different way online. So, other than text and email, phone calls, and in person, we chose to go with Facebook, and we created a secret Facebook page, or a private group. So when it first started out, it was kind of slow because each of us had to invite customers that we were already connected with through social media to join the page. And over time, we were able to, we built it up to almost 800 people in our group now. But it's still a closed group, so you can't not just anybody can stumble on the page. You kind of have to be invited, you have to know about it, or ask one of us to invite you to the page. So it's a closed group here in the Southeast. We share local information. We started out with some content, a few weeks worth to get it started. And it's amazing how many of our customers kept it going for a long time. We would post every now and then. Now we're trying to do it a little more regularly, but with 8 of us on the team, it's easy to divide that up, and it doesn't all fall on one person's shoulders to manage. And we're not really necessarily just sharing the company message, because you guys do a great job of that already. It's more of what we want to share locally as an add-on. There's been a lot of photos posted of some pretty funny stuff. Some bad installations, some good installations. There's projects people have shared. It's been a great for content coming from outside of our group. And then we have to, of course, approve it to launch onto the page, which again doesn't fall on just one person. But it's been a great way to engage and get some communication going, and it's fun to see the conversations that get stirred up. When one contractor finds a snake in a valve box, the rest of us can laugh and see how they handled it, or whatever. So yeah, it's been a great page. We chose Facebook because none of us were necessarily great at social media, and enough of us were on it that we were able to expand it out and kind of grow the page and share information.
Yeah, what I love about this page and what you guys have been able to do is you mentioned there was 8 of you, and I think it's one post a week, right? And so, or is it's 6 or 8 of you. So I mean, it's
Yeah, about
every
6.
6 weeks to 2 months. You only have to put one post up, and if I remember correctly, I think there's a couple guys on the team who were not on social media and got on social media just to help support this, and now they're really engaged. And I think the story that I like to tell is that you don't have to have a team that's social media savvy. You might need to have one person on your team, and then if you kind of spread the work around, that you can create something really, really great, and that creates a really great space for your customers to talk as well.
Yeah, and it's
So
been a lot of fun. I mean, we started out, we came up with a funny name. We try to do a little play on our product name. So we've changed the names a couple times, and we changed our background photo maybe twice, 3 times so far. But just so that they know it's not the Hunter page. Yeah, we
yeah,
don't want to get it confused with our real social media page. And some of our contractors have done a great job with their Facebook, and I'm going to share one of those with the group as well here locally in South Carolina. Martin Landscape is just a great example of using a Facebook page, which is different than what we've set up. We set up a private group. Some of our other territories have set up a page, a Hunter's, like territory page. But in this example, Martin Landscape's just done a great job with building out a professional looking page that if you want to know about his company, you can come and find out pretty quick by scrolling through the history of what he's posted, that he does good work. You can see what type of work he does. Obviously, they do all different types. He does the same through his LinkedIn. They post pretty regularly, highlight during the holidays, and if there's any specials. They also
residential and commercial.
Residential and commercial.
Got it. Which makes sense. The Facebook and LinkedIn, kind of based on the last couple slides. That's great.
Yeah. And again, it's just a great way that customers can build out and learn about how important content is and the regular communication that he's providing.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful and well done, and I think that sometimes we see that when we have contractors who don't have a website, a lot of times they'll actually create a page on social media like Facebook or like LinkedIn, and they use that in lieu of, because they can kind of quickly create a beautiful space to send people where they can see engagement and see reviews and things like that. One of the things I think that is the hardest part of social media is the content. And we've got a saying in marketing that content is king, and it's so important. And but it takes time. It always takes more time than I think people think. And I know that when you started your group, I can't remember exactly how many posts you had. I want to say you had maybe 2 months worth of posts ready, so that when you turned on your private group, you were able to focus on kind of inviting people as opposed to the stress of also creating content at the same time. And I thought that was great.
Just the 6 of us were on there for a few weeks, building sort of some history.
Yeah, which is really smart. And I would highly suggest that anybody kind of turning on, going into social media or turning on a new social media page, take that into account. Sometimes it's hard, to create content. And I would say, Hunter, we've been selling PGPs for the last 30 plus years to sometimes contractors who have been buying them from us for 30 years. And so how do we take something that maybe not be considered that exciting anymore, but keep talking about it, because it is an amazing product, and it is kind of, one of the key things that we get to talk about in our market, because that's what we're known for. And so really it's taking the exact same piece and looking at it in different ways, creating content from different types of media. And so, I've got a quick list up here. It's certainly not, there's a lot more options out there, but, if you take, if you're maybe just doing irrigation installation and you're not doing maintenance, you're not doing lighting, whatever that looks like, but you can create a video, you can create an article, you can do quick tips, you can do social graphics, photos. So taking the exact same piece of information and doing lots of different content around it. One of the things that I always like to talk with my team about is I call it the 411 formula. And I actually stole this from HubSpot, which is a CRM, I don't know, maybe 2 decades ago. They had this, and I loved it so much I've used it the rest of my career. But it basically says that for every 6 pieces of content that you put out, 4 of them should be informative, 1 of them should be inspirational, and 1 of them should be the hard ask. And that's really just to say that if you're constantly asking for the sale, you don't feel like a partner, right, to your customer. And then if you're just putting out inspirational quotes or images, then you might not be seen again as the subject matter expert. But if you're just putting out informational and you're not doing the inspire and you're not doing the ask, then you're not getting to the heart of people, and you're not at the end of the day asking for the sale, right? So making sure that we're thinking about all 3 of these pieces. But again, at the end of the day, you want people to see you as a subject matter expert. And I think that's really relevant in our industry, where you don't see your customer every day. You see them, I mean, some people are seeing them every other week, some people are seeing them monthly, but some people, you're only in there for winterization and spring blowout, right? And sometimes if you're in the Smile Belt, not even that, right? Maybe once a year or so, or just new customers, because you're just installation, but maybe you have some opportunity to do some upgrade and resell. So making sure that you're staying kind of top of mind for them. And there's a lot of different ways to communicate. So you could spend the time creating 1 piece of content, and then you make sure that you get the most value out of that content. Because like I said, content's hard to create. So if you're going to do it, put it out on social media, put it on emails. If you're taking beautiful photos, use it update your physical brochures with it. If you are taking the time to do video, make sure that you're putting it out on social and email and your YouTube channel. And then virtual meetings like this, right? This is a unique time in the world where you can be putting virtual meetings together with customers to discuss, what the plans are. I've heard some really great feedback from in the field this year, where we've got customers who are actually communicating virtually first and laying out what the expectations are going to be for their customer visit. And that's really helped put their customers at ease with having people come into their home, into their backyard, to discuss things. And so, hey, let's virtually talk about how comfortable you are with social distancing and things like that, or how comfortable you are. So again, lots of different ways to communicate the great content. And, at Hunter, there's a lot of different things. So just to give you guys some examples, obviously we're a manufacturer. We talk a lot about products, but we also try to mix it up. So we talk about site studies. We do tech tips, especially now with our HydroWise platform and the digital world that contractors are slowly getting into, making sure that they're comfortable in that space. So we got a lot of tech tips around that. We've got a lot of online tools. So we've got photo libraries and video libraries for you guys to use on your own websites and your own emails. So making sure we're communicating those. Greg, who's hosting us here for this meeting, is part of the Hunter University team. We've got a really robust free education program, which is awesome, making sure we talk about that. We also try to talk about our customers, right? So focusing on what they're doing. Now, our customers are slightly different than your customers. We're talking about what distribution's doing and what our contractors are doing. You might be talking about, especially if you're in the commercial world, maybe the new structure that's being put up and how you're excited to be part of that landscape piece, or maybe even a new residential space where you've gotten permission, obviously, from your customer to post photos of their space. Current events, that's always fun and an easy way to stay top of mind. This was an Olympics a couple years ago that we had some fun with. We do some behind the scenes videos, which are really quick videos where we just do time lapses. Those are really popular and take not that much effort. And then I just wanted to, talk about shareable content, making sure that you're getting permissions from your customers. Some people are more comfortable than others having their property shown. Some, maybe they're in the photo, they're more comfortable than others being in the photo. So making sure you're taking that into consideration as you build out that content. And then just at the end of the day, make sure that people know who you are as a company. Or as if you were the owner of your company as an owner. So, here's our, bring your child to work day. We've got some fun throwback stuff. Linda Whiteman, won the green industry, I can't remember exactly what it is, Lifetime Achievement Award. And, we take social responsibility really seriously. So, showing our solar panels on our distribution center, those kind of things. So making sure that that inspire piece, that you're showing them who you are as well. And, all of these social media platforms have some really great built-in tools. So as you're putting out this content, you can go onto the backside. This specifically is Facebook's reporting space. And you can see on this right-hand side that we can quickly look at what content is doing better than other content, what our customers are more interested in and engaged with, and that really helps drive what type of content that you're putting out. Now, while we talk about the corporate, your company's brand, for some of you, your personal brand is going to be just as important, whether you work for a larger corporation or contractor, or you are the business, right? A lot of our designers, our irrigation designers especially, right, they are their business and they work for themselves. So again, making sure that your LinkedIn profile is up and running, is clean, that you've got a really nice summary. I talk to our guys in sales a lot about what their summary says about them. And I think for a lot of people, being on LinkedIn, you think it's just about getting a new job. It's not. It's a really phenomenal sales tool. And I highly recommend going into the search function on LinkedIn. So if you, especially we talked about LinkedIn and its success on the commercial side. So if you do commercial business, this is a great way, maybe your sweet spot is businesses that have over 300 employees in a certain region, certain community, and maybe you specialize in even a certain industry and supporting that group. So this is a really great way to quickly go on and find large organizations in your region and using LinkedIn to reach out to them and say, hey, if you ever have any needs for this, or for lighting, for irrigation, for landscape maintenance, that kind of thing. Great way to find people. And I think, one of the things that I always want to make sure that we're talking about when we talk about social media is this business versus personal. And a lot of us have been in the industry for a while, and our customers have become our friends, right? Our peers have become our friends. And so, that's wonderful, right? For a lot of us. But if that's not what you're interested in doing, then I think you should take the time to make sure that you look at your privacy settings on your personal Facebook. So going in, doing a privacy checkup, making sure that you know who can see your posts, turning that on so that only your friends can see your posts. And so as businesses, as you're trying to do business with somebody and, they're maybe doing their due diligence and looking you up, and they see the photo of, I don't know, you back from college, and you're like, oh, that is not the way that I would want people to see me. So take the time to look at your personal profiles and just make sure that your privacy settings are good. Now, let's say you're listening to me and you're like, okay, great, Tessa, we're finally over the social media standpoint or, portion of the presentation because I am not interested in social media. That's okay too. I would highly suggest though that you take the time to listen do what we call social listening. And basically what that means is that social listening is a phenomenal tool from a sales standpoint. So one, so who do you listen to? One, your company. You might not be the person who owns the social media for your organization. You could be the owner and you've got somebody else running social media for you. You could be a crew member or sales member of a larger organization and somebody else is running the social media. Make sure that you are following the social media for your own organization. And then customers, right? It's a really great opportunity when you've got a customer who's doing something that maybe they've done something big in their life. Now, this could be at a personal level or a professional level, right? So you could, again, if you're commercial, you could follow that business's website. Hey, I heard that you just broke ground on a new building. That's super excited. When you're ready for landscape, you just call me and let me know. I'm going to be there for you. I'm super excited about the expansion. Congratulations. At the same time, you might be following them on the personal level and, hey, congratulations on your new grandbaby. That's amazing. It gives you the ability to create some touch points by listening, by social listening. And you don't have to do it through social media. You could pick up the phone, write them an email. I would do some social listening in the industry, especially right now. There's so much regulation going on, not just because of the COVID crisis, right? There's other regulations going on. So making sure that you're following groups like the IA, the ASLA, the NALP. Those are all really great organizations within our industry that are, trying to make sure that you guys stay informed on what's going on, not only on regulations, but also on new products and cool things like that. And the competition, follow your competition, make sure you know what they're doing. They're going to be out there bragging about what they're up to, and it might give you some great opportunities. So make sure that you know how to listen. You can follow them on social media. You can create Google Alerts, which is a really fun way to get alerted every time your company's mentioned on any website anywhere, or your competitors when they're mentioned as well. And there are also social monitoring platforms. So if you want to do this at a really broad level, there's platforms like Hootsuite, HOOTSUITE, and you can quickly create a one-stop shop place where you can go and see what's happening across social media. Okay, so I feel like we've exhausted that subject, and I'm happy to move on. I know that there's a lot of conversation around social media, but there's certainly other marketing tactics you can be taking. And before I go into, I'm really passionate about email marketing. I think that it's a really great way to get in front of your current customers, but you can't talk about marketing to people without talking about your customer database. So here's my plug for a database. I don't think a lot of people don't think of marketing and databases as in the same realm, but you are only as good of a marketer as your database is, and your low-hanging fruit are your current customers, even if you don't do maintenance, right? You can always go back and upgrade from PGPs to MP rotators, or the Pro C clock that you've got on their wall to a new HydroWise run, right? There's lots of opportunities, adding flow meters in so that you can monitor breaks and things like that. So what should you keep in your database? Things like names, emails, phone numbers, address, customer type, commercial, residential, high-end residential, invoices and order histories. That's really so that you can have product details. So if you have the details on the product that you've used, then you have the opportunity to target certain customers for upgrades. Different sales touch points that you've reached out to them. That's really good because you don't want to over communicate to anyone, and referral details, because you want to make sure that those people who are your advocates and who are doing your word of mouth, that you've got that tracked so that you can appreciate them in different ways. So how do you keep a database? There's, I'd say, a good, better, best. And I think a lot of people are just writing them down right on their notebooks, and that works, right? But I think if you're willing to take the next step, at a minimum, you should be using something like QuickBooks or Excel, where you create a database so that you can create all the columns of the different data points like we just talked about on the last slide. You can input in all of your customers, and that's a really quick and easy way where you can still very quickly filter and copy those emails, throw them into a communication that you're putting out potentially. And then really best is, we see there's a lot of CRMs out there for landscapers and just across the industry. You have big behemoths like Salesforce and things like that. But yeah, I used Hindsight as an example because I do think it's really nice when you utilize CRM platforms that understand your business because they're doing a lot of things on the back end to try to help you. So Hindsight is a great example in that they're integrated in with HydroWise. So if you're a HydroWise contractor, Hindsight's an awesome opportunity because it's integrated on the back end. So obviously there's a monetary expense with that, but again, from a marketing standpoint, if you're going to be doing a lot of marketing and you're going to be collecting leads and contacts, you need to make sure that you're collecting them and being smart about the way that you do that. Okay, so I'll get off my soapbox on that, and we'll get on to email marketing, hopefully made simple. So why emails? I think sometimes people will be like, oh, email's dead. I do not believe email is dead. I believe that email is very much alive. And I think statistically, there's a lot of talk about social media and a lot of talk about all the things to do on social media. Well, email, there are more email users than there are social media users. That's just one, right? Next, from a preferred channel standpoint, 60% of consumers, email is their preferred channel of communication, not social media. They want to see their grandbabies on social media, so email is a great way to direct connect to them. From a conversion standpoint, it's also proven to be higher at conversions. Now, again, that's not to poo-poo social media, but in conjunction with email and social, you're really getting that 1-2 punch. And from an open rate standpoint, engagement rate on social media, people are scrolling really quickly through things. They're used to ignoring ads, but kind of across industries and even what we see in our industry, you're looking at about a 22% open rate. We see even higher open rates from contractors when we've worked with them for emails. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I know Steve has some really cool stats on that from some of his customers. But also from an age usage, we had that slide earlier about demographics for social media users, but email versus social, across the board, across ages, email is, again, a primary mode of communication and isn't just focused on, social. So you've got your boomers and they're still on their emails. They might not be on social media. So if that's your target audience, email is even more appropriate for your business. Steve, thanks again for being a panelist with us. I think, it's fun sometimes to talk about the stuff at the national level, but your region, I think, more than any other region globally that I've seen, has customers who have done a phenomenal job using emails. And I know you have some great contractors. And would you mind taking us through a couple of great success stories from your region?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tessa, and good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, here in the Midwest, for whatever reason, we've got some contractors that are doing some good stuff with email marketing, and we'll run through a couple examples here. Excuse me. Sometimes in the summertime lull, in that July and August, when the business sometimes tends to slow down for us here in the Midwest, it's a good time to take a look at, hey, maybe it's a time to run some sort of a promotion or send an email blast. So the first example here is a company out of Illinois, Carefree Lawn Sprinklers, back in 2018. So this isn't something that's new. This is obviously something that guys have been doing for quite a while. They ran an email blast campaign promotion to upgrade some controllers in that August lull period, and in one afternoon they were able to sell 10 controllers right away. So real quick response from sending out an email to actually getting some people involved and get some action. At the end of that first month from that same email blast, I actually had sold 80 controllers. So just kind of goes to show you what Tessa was saying is there's a lot of people, still using email. Email can be a very valuable tool, obviously, and people are obviously still reading their email. So I think a lot of contractors are great at installing and servicing irrigation systems, but they might struggle sometimes with the confidence to take that first step in, how do I get started? How do I start this marketing thing? How do I create an email to send out to my customer base and make it exciting enough for them to actually respond to or to reply to? So, and a lot of times it's just tough to find the time, especially this time of the year, to actually just get started. How do I get started? And so a lot of thought, a lot of processes have to be in place to make this all work, but it definitely can be done, and these are some good examples. So the second one here, John with Professional Irrigation Systems here in Missouri, he ran a Christmas email blast last year. What do you get that dad who has everything for Christmas email blast? So, well, you try to sell them a HydroWise controller upgrade, and that's exactly what they did. So in January, they had sold upwards of $20,000 in new controller products, rain sensors, and flow sensors for the dad that has everything. So I think that was a great promotion. And John added too that folks that actually responded to his email were, they closed about 80% of those people that actually called in and said, hey, give me some more info about this. And so that closure rate is really, really good. Probably on the high side of what we probably see, but that's really, really good. So you got to have things in place in your office when you run these email campaigns to make sure that the people that are answering those calls and following up on those emails are obviously saying and doing the right things to make sure that you get the sale pull through. It's like the old adage that it's always easier to sell something to someone that you already do business with than it is to try to go out and find that new customer time and time again. Excuse me. Lastly, the third example here is from DJ's Lawn Sprinklers in Wisconsin. Eric was just looking for a different way to not have to push snow. And obviously up in Wisconsin, they got two things. They got cheese and they got snow. So he's tired of it. He'd pushed snow for years.
And a lot of both.
A way to not have to do that. He probably still eats cheese. I don't know, but
curds, cheese curds. Let's be specific.
What's that?
I said cheese curds. Let's be specific.
Cheese curds. Love the cheese curds. Absolutely. But just try to find a different way to generate some revenue without having to do, something he hated and his employees hated to do, which was push snow. So he took his time, did the research, gained the knowledge and confidence that he needed before he dipped his toes in the water. But with the HydroWise product and went ahead and he had always contacted his customers via the postcard, which I know there's still quite a few contractors that use postcard mailings and has good response from them. So he continued to use that. And on the first go around when he sent out the direct mailer, he had actually pretty good results. He had 40 some customers that called in and wanted to get the upgraded controllers. And so he thought, well, that worked out so well. I don't want to spend more money doing another direct mail. So let's send an email this time. So he sent out an email blast to his customer base and was actually in the first couple hours, he sold 18 units, which is fantastic, and then over probably the rest of that month, he was actually able to sell 50 more HydroWise controllers in February and March. So very good success with that campaign. I think it's obviously something he will continue to do because it had such good results, but it obviously helped him get out of pushing snow and kept his guys busy through the slow months of giving them something to do and actually generate some revenue. So Eric is pretty cognizant too of not over marketing. I don't, Tessa, you're the marketing person. I'm not the marketing person,
I
but
can
I think
appreciate that.
sometimes we get inundated with so much information and
You
so
don't want
much.
to be a spammer.
Right. We get so many emails, and what do we sort through? What do we read? What do we not read? But Eric is pretty cognizant of that. So when he actually does send something, the customers actually pay attention to it, and they value what he says. They trust him. He's been doing business with them for a while. So when stuff like that goes out, I think he has a higher probability to get that customer to make a purchase from him. So with all those things taken into consideration, there's, my main takeaways from this are that all these ideas or all these email things started with an idea, right? They started with an idea to gain some business. They all required some thought. They all require some planning. It obviously needs to be executed properly. And obviously you got to do the follow through. You can't do all this work and then not do the follow through. So by all means, take your time, track your failures, track your successes. And I think if you do those things and actually just get started, push yourself to take that step to just get started with trying to put something together. It's not all going to look pretty, but at the end of the day, I think you can build some stuff that that works, and your customer base, and I think you'll have some success doing it. So step in there and take that chance, and I know you won't regret it.
We have a saying in marketing, fail fast and fail often. And I
I
think
love that.
it's great, right? Because you want to make sure you're trying different things. And what I specifically love about, the examples that you've given us is that they are also monitoring, right? Like how many successes they had from a marketing initiative. And that's so important. So when we were talking about the database, if you're not monitoring how somebody came to you, maybe it was a word of mouth referral, but maybe it was that postcard. But maybe that postcard cost more than it did to send out, right? And then it got back. What was the ROI? What was that return on your investment? And making sure that you are, as a contractor, are monitoring it is going to allow you to fail fast, right? Try it out. If it's successful, awesome. Add it into your arsenal, and find that balance of not over communicating. And I think that having lots of different tactics helps you, not feel like you're over communicating. Maybe instead of, if you are going to do direct mail and you do find that successful, you also find email successful because it looks like both were successful. Maybe doing like every other communication so that it doesn't feel like you're getting too many emails or too many direct mail pieces, but you're mixing it up, right? Which is great. And just, I would say that from the success of your customers, that actually seeing those successes and having those kind of anecdotes come to us in marketing. Last year, we did a massive initiative to build out email templates and support our contractors. And we created an entire campaign around doing drip campaigns for our contractors. And we put a lot of time and effort. We had one person that was solely dedicated in Q1 of last year to really helping put out emails for contractors. We had over 120 contractors register in. We didn't know if this was going to be successful, and it actually spoke a lot to how much our customers trust us, because we had them send us their customer lists. We had big disclaimers that we weren't going to do anything with it but send emails for them, and we created 120 campaigns. We allowed them to choose from 3 different contractors were able to choose from 3 different tracks, so an FX track, a HydroWise track, or a Water Savers track. And really, because we felt like those were the best upgrade opportunities for existing customers, because generally speaking, your email list is going to only be existing customers. And we were blown away by how successful it was. We had a 35% open rate, which I think we talked earlier that, somewhere around 20 is probably the average in the industry. So great open rate. Every customer got 3 emails over the course of, is it 3 or 6 weeks? 3 or 6 weeks. And the success that we generated from that, we did a survey afterwards to ask them, what was the success rate? And 75% of total respondents saw a result, whether that was 1 or, I don't know, 100. I don't think anybody actually got to 100, but we did see some people up in the was it low 40s, I want to say. And so, but for almost half generated, 1 to 10 leads, but we had 6% generate over 31 leads, which is pretty phenomenal, and I think speaks to the success. And so one of the things that we did was we took those emails that we created for last year's campaign and we deconstructed them and put them online in our web tools for contractors. So you could go up there and you could get the content already written for you. You could edit it to fit your business needs and your services. And the images are all up there as well, so you can quickly access them. So if you don't have photos, you can use those photos that we have, and you can build out your own emails. Now, there's a lot of really great email tools out there. MailChimp, Constant Contact, they make it incredibly simple to build beautiful emails. So you've got the content, you've got the photos. It's pretty affordable to use one of those email tools, much more affordable than the mailers. And I think it's worth a try if you're not already doing it. Okay, so I only got 5 minutes. Let's see, we'll get through website stuff. Okay, so I think we hear time and time again from a web standpoint, we see everything across the board in our industry. We have some customers who have really stunning, beautiful sites. And then we have lots of customers who say, I don't have a website. That's just not my business model. Whether they're just on review sites or it's just word of mouth. Wherever you are on that spectrum, I would highly suggest that you at least have a website, the most simplest. And I promise, this is another little mini soapbox. You might be saying, Tessa, of course I have a website. But for those of you who potentially don't, there's just a couple stats that I want to throw out to you to help convince you to make sure that you have a website for your organization. For your company, 30% of customers will not consider a business without a website, and that's pretty staggering, right? And I can appreciate that as a consumer, right? If you want confidence in a company, one of the things that you look for is a professional website. 97% of consumers go online to find business and research local businesses. So obviously that includes your review sites, that might include neighborhood apps and things like that, but a lot of what they're going to get on when they do that search engine is your competitor's website. So even if it's something very simple, make sure that you have a page that communicates who you are, what you do, all that fun stuff. There's a lot of really great platforms out there that already have websites. They're very plug and play. I threw a few on here in case you wanted to take them down. Wix, HostGator, Squarespace, and Duda are the 4 big ones right now. So highly recommend going on if you don't already have a website. So what are some keys if you do have a website or you're about to build one? What are some keys to making sure that your website is successful? Some of these are going to seem really simple, but number one, you need to tell them what you do. And I think that a lot of times people will get phone calls and say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. Well, we don't do that. And you need to make sure that you're very clear about what it is that your organization does. And I can't tell you how many times I've been on websites and I'm like, I don't know what this company or organization is and what they do. So making sure that what you do is what we call above the fold, which means nobody has to scroll down to see it. So on that front page, right when it loads, let people know what it is your organization does. Tell customers where you work. Now, I love this example on the screen because it isn't just like, hey, I'm in San Diego, right? There's so many communities in San Diego. And if I'm searching for, services, I'm not going to look up, Irrigation San Diego. I'm going to look up Irrigation Claremont because that's the neighborhood that I live in. And so making sure that you've listed all of those out is really important. Why is it important? It's important because as people do those searches, if you only have San Diego or if you only have your business address, but you serve other areas, then those then your website is not going to show up in a Google search. So making sure that you spend the time to just create a list of all of the communities that you serve is going to help you appear on that front page when somebody does a search for your services. Tell customers how to contact you. Again, these seem really simple, but is your phone number, email address, and or a request form like this example front and center on your webpage? Make sure that they are. I didn't realize that was there. Okay, so show customer images your work. So we talked earlier about photos. Make sure that if you're putting photos on your social media pages, that you're also putting them onto your website. And this is a great, customers love to go down that rabbit hole, and they want to see that you've worked in spaces similar to theirs. So if you're trying to get into a certain type of business, whether it be residential or commercial or pools, or you're trying to add lighting to your business because you've been focused on irrigation, this is a place where you can show customers that that you can create these services and these beautiful spaces that they want in their space. Tell customers why they should choose you. Now, there's a lot of widgets that you can use from a lot of the review sites where you can add, or your web developer can add a line of code in here, and it will automatically show the most up-to-date ratings on different sites. But you can also just pull out quotes from those sites that you really like and put them up on a site. So you could put reviews, you could put photos of those customers' locations with them. But people, in lieu of word of mouth, people want to hear from other customers who have said really positive things about you, and it makes them feel more comfortable and confident. So we talked a little bit about search engine optimization and why it's important. Creating unique content. Google looks at all of these different pages and matches them up and makes sure that you're not just copying and pasting from somebody else's content. So make sure that your content is original on your website. Add links to relevant content. That still does help with your rankings in searches. Sign up for Google Analytics so you can see if certain marketing pieces that you're doing is driving up traffic to your website. Ask your web host to set up SSL. I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about that, but basically what it means is that your site is secure. And so, and when I asked our web development team if they had any additional quick tips that they would want to add to this web piece, that was what they said. So making sure that your website is secure is again going to help in your Google search optimization. We already talked about setting up my Google My Business account and being mobile friendly. It's another thing that search engines look at. Most of the websites now that have web builders, they already make your website mobile friendly, so you don't have to worry about that if you're using one of the newer platforms. And it might be a reason to change over to one of the newer platforms. And again, this just is kind of a page to show Google searches and where everybody, when we talk about search engine optimization, why that's important. So, you put in Vista, California landscape lighting, you've got paid opportunities. So remember we talked about paid, the earn versus own versus paid media. So you've got the paid media right on top. Then you've got the Google My Business right there. So again, that's a review site. I mean, even that's through Google, that's really important to make sure that you own that business. And then we've got Home Advisor and 3 Yelps. So those are different, again, making sure that you own your business profile in those is really important. And then you've got a contractor showing up, and that's after all of these other business profiles. So that's really why I wanted to talk about those first, to make sure that you are spending time owning your, again, low cost opportunities there. Okay, so after being in marketing for this long, I could talk forever about marketing. luckily I think I'm 2 minutes over, so I'm going to cut myself off. I'm definitely going to stay on for any questions. But I hope the takeaway here is that there's a lot of different channels and tactics that you can use in marketing. You don't have to spend a lot of money on all of them. I'm not saying that putting together a website is free. It certainly isn't. But there's a lot of low-cost leaders that are going to gain a lot of business for you. Greg, anything else you want to make sure that I'm touching on?
You know, Tessa, I just wanted to, and this kind of question comes up all the time, but I wanted to say, for the small business owner, for someone who's got a maintenance company or an install company that's small and getting started, what is the lowest hanging fruit, the number one thing that they should do for their business to really get off the ground running?
I would say embrace the review sites. It's fast, it's easy. For the most part, it doesn't cost you anything, right? Once you get onto Houzz and Angie's List, they start to have fees, and we've seen some successes and some failures across the board on that. So I don't want to argue either way for those, but I think there's enough low-hanging fruit where if you just go in and you own your business profile, then next I would say, your website, and making sure that you're just in that space so that as people are searching for you, you're present. And that to me is the number one way. And then you can start to try to pull in customers through marketing tactics like email, like mailers, and things like that as you create a database.
Yeah, I mean, just to get started, to get on, hit the ground running and get the business up and running. These are like basic things that we should all be doing. I know for a fact that when I'm going to reach out for help, I just cut a hole in my ceiling the other day with some water damage, and I needed a contractor to come in and do some drywall repair work. The first thing I did was I searched it online, and I got reviews from different review sites and got some different quotes through Home Advisor. So I know that these things are helping, and it made me drive my decision in that direction. Now, I can't emphasize enough how much this is important to get those right keywords in your business so that when there's a search, you pop up, you're the first one, and that you come up at the top of the list right below those Google, Google review sites and stuff like that. It's really important. So.
Yeah, and I think we hear from a lot of contractors too. Hey, I don't have enough staff to keep up with the business, right? So we have a certain group of our customers who are trying to gain more business, and then we have another group who are like, hey, listen, I don't need any more business, which sounds crazy, but it's true, right? Or maybe their labor can't keep up with what the amount of business coming in their region. And I think that still making sure that you're owning your business site and you're owning your website is going to help you manage your time. If you're making sure that you've got the types of services that you do, and frankly, the types of services maybe even that you don't do, like we do not do maintenance or something like that, right? That's going to make sure that you don't get those additional phone calls. Maybe you want your day to end at 3 p.m. Do not call me past 3 p.m. Putting those times, business hours to discuss, and putting your email address, it can help funnel some of those conversations and some of those calls that you're getting. Not all of them. There's still going to be that person who calls you at 9 p.m. who wants to have a discussion about their backyard. But I think that you can, even if you are not really looking to massively grow your business, there's still some opportunity to save your time as a contractor by using these marketing tools.
A story just popped into my head that I had a conversation with a guy that does social media for a local landscape company here in San Diego. They're called Landcare. And what he does is he actually reaches out to the people that work for him, that work for the company. So the landscape maintenance guys, the lawnmowers, the irrigation guys, and he asks them to send photos of their daily activities. So if the guys are doing something fun, if the guys are out there, doing a team building exercise or morning stretches, whatever, send a picture to them. If it gets posted, they get little incentives throughout the month or throughout the year where they get like a little gift card for getting their photo posted on the social media site. So really get your business incorporated in your social media aspect. I think it's really important to bring out how great your business is and the people that work for your business. So
And that really helps drive up company culture, which is really fun.
Right.
And take some of the workload off of you, you know, spread the love, make everybody else, you know, generate some content too. It's tough. I get it.
Well, I don't have any more questions here, but you did get a "Hey Tessa, you rock." So just
You rock.
and
All right. Well, everybody stay healthy out there. Thanks again for calling in. Please go on to hunterindustries.com, go to professionals, go to contractors, and you'll see a bevy. I use bevy. It's like, I never use that word. That's hilarious. You'll see a ton of different marketing tools on there, from email, you know, brochures, door hanging signs. I mean, we've got tons of stuff up there that's all editable for contractors to take and use. So if you don't have a designer team on staff, we do. We're trying to make stuff for you. So, and if you've got anything that you'd love to do, talk to your sales manager, your Hunters FX sales manager, because we're here to help.
And I didn't mention this earlier, but if you want an easy way to access your Revit Up coins and the Hunter catalog and the FX catalog, download the Hunter HQ app. It is the one-stop shop for everything Hunter.
Love
So,
it. Yeah, Hunter HQ app. Super cool.
On behalf of Jason, Steve, Tessa, and I, and the rest of the Hunter corporate organization, we appreciate you. We appreciate your business. We want you to stay healthy, stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks for joining.
Bye, guys. Love you.